Hi guys, this is Teacher Bati. Um, Welcome to my YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe. Um, you know what? Some if you don't want to subscribe, it's okay, but I encourage you to subscribe because you're not gonna miss out on the new content I load, which is related to you doing very well in your subjects, which is your accounting auditing. I'm growing by the day. Maybe next year I'll be doing tax and I'll be loading some tax modules. So guys, I want us to talk about, remember, still doing conceptual framework. And guys, for deeper learning, I encourage you not to read conceptual framework at one go, like read it in a vacuum. No, I encourage deeper learning. Divide into segments conceptual framework because it needs to make sense. And this is the foundation of your accounting module. If you miss it here, it will be difficult to catch up. You might be good in other aspects of accounting and really not do well in other aspects of accounting because you're missing the relevant foundation. So, guys, we're talking about the elements of financial statements. What is that? Like, really, what is that? You see, maybe, okay, let's just talk about this and then I just show you my show and tell. So, elements of financial statements is your income, expenses, assets, owner's equity and liabilities. So we know that income is all the sales we're making. It's your credit sales, your cash sales, like the money coming into the business. Sometimes income is not even money; it's accounting entries, like allowance for credit losses. Uh, if it has been reduced, then we know that whatever prior entry is gonna result in income and all. Some income is not necessarily money coming in. Part of it is money coming in now or money coming in later in the business, or sometimes it's accounting entries that are being adjusted as like you realize gains. If they're positive, they will be adjusted in income. Then your expenses, all the costs for operating the business, they might be cash, they might not be cash. Sometimes they might be accounting entries, and the assets, all the machinery you're using um, to generate. Part of it is the machinery you're using to generate um, income for the business. Sometimes it's accounting entries, sometimes it can be accounting entries. Also, owner's equity is the investments by the owners, be it capital, be it shareholder capital. Also, liabilities now, the debt we've incurred with the hope to grow the business or to expand the business. Okay, so these are your elements of financial statements. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you that we can't um, be creative when we're preparing financial statements or when we're presenting financial statements. We have to follow what has been the prescribed guideline in terms of putting information in segments that make sense. So at income, you must report income. At expenses, you must only report expenses. If we didn't have that guideline, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be mixing information and the user would be very confused. And if a user cannot derive the benefit or they don't understand financial statements, they're good as we have not done them. So this what this guide on the elements of financial statement is just for us to know where we put how we report financial information transactions and financial statements. So I just want us to quickly go to our show and tell. uh, Mr. Price, again, you know me, I said I love Mr. Price, and I must say uh, I'm not working for Mr. Price. I'm not a representative for Mr. Price. It's just that it's a shop you young ones go to. Maybe you're not that young. You young adults go to for fashion reasons and other reasons like savings. If you look at their financial statements for 2021, guys, this is the statement of comprehensive income, statement of profit and loss and other comprehensive income. This was the old name, and you're not supposed to remember this name for the sake of you passing and preparing. financial statements according to IFRS. If you look here, ladies and gentlemen, so this is the group financials and this is the company. At first year level, don't worry what group and company means. You're just going to be preparing financial statements in the first semester for a sole proprietor. Second semester, you're going to be preparing financial statements for companies. Sometimes in other universities, the whole first year, you're just doing financial statements for a sole proprietor. So at this level, do not worry about group company. You'll learn it as you grow in accounting at university. But I want you to see something. I want us to spot the elements of financial statement. You see, we can find the elements of financial statements there. It's revenue, ne? And then let's just explore what is under revenue. There's club fees, there's telecoms income, finance interest received. Like when you don't pay your account on time, Mr. Price, just know Mr. Price is making money. They're making money. That's them penalizing you for being a late payer. Or sometimes if they gave you their credit card, because I know Mr. Price is a credit card, and then they're going to be charging you these things. Club fees, if you join Mr. Price club fees, there's a subscription fee that you pay. This is where it sits. Income on trade and other receivables. Actually, that's the income on your clothing account. So yes, you being slow in paying, that interest sits there. Finance interest received, that's the interest on your credit cards and all that, all the financial products that Mr. Price gives to you guys, sells to you. Then this is retail sales and other revenue. So this is the clothes that you buy, the sneakers. It sits on this line in the financial statements for Mr. Price. Then income from consolidated entities. It may be that they have another, like Street is part of Mr. Price. You should know that. Street. Uh, I just want to show you something, guys. Yeah, Shit Street is part of Mr. Price. Also Power, the clothing shop, Power Shop, is also part of Mr. Price. So Mr. Price is not only operating Mr. Price, the Mr. Price brand only, there are other brands that they operate. So they make money from those brands also. So I just wanted to show you that. I just think I moved one down. Okay. So you see now there's costs and expenses. Remember we said elements of financial statements is income. I've already shown you in Mr. Price. Just close this one. I already shown you in Mr. Price that in their statement of profit and loss and other comprehensive income, they've got revenue, which is under revenue. They will tell you where they got this money or where they got this income, which is your revenue streams. Then we've got costs and expenses. So now under costs and expenses, they're showing you the cost they've incurred to make a sale. So them buying clothes wherever, maybe they're importing the clothes from the from the Asian countries, or maybe they've made the clothes locally. So the cost for them to buy, Mr. Price is not owning its factories. So if they're selling you socks, they did not make those socks, they bought them somewhere. So the cost for them, the cost of them buying socks in bulk to sell them to you, that must be recorded as an expense. So you can see then it's calculations, profit and other operating expenses. So those are your calculations. So now, guys, I think you have now understanding on where revenue sits in the statement of profit or loss and what is under revenue, what is under cost. Like you see costs and expenses, you've got your selling expenses, people who are promoting, paying websites, paying Facebook to promote Mr. Price ads, admin, so your people, your payroll and other expenses. Now, guys, when I'm saying the reason why the elements of financial statements have to be distinct and they are in segments is for us to, or for the user to be able to find what they're looking for. For example, can you imagine if other revenue, if we're given freedom to prepare financial statements anyhow? Uh, then you wake up being creative the other day, like, okay, under revenue, I'm going to report other operating expenses. It's already confusing. I want to learn about income under revenue as the user. I don't want to learn about expenses in the wrong segment. Create a segment for me where you're talking about expenses only. And then I know what makes up the expenses and I want to know the total of the expenses. Can you imagine if we put under other telecoms income on expenses? It would definitely be confusing. So these segments, like the elements of financial statements, they're there to help the user segment information, to help the preparer to segment information, also for the user to find information in a segmented format so that they can use it anyhow for decision making without them being confused. Yeah? Let's move to the statement of financial position. See the statement of financial position, that's where now you're finding your assets, your elements, which is your assets, your equity, and liabilities. We go back, we said elements of financial statements is income. I've shown you in the statement of profit or loss. Expenses I've shown you in the in the statement of profit or loss. Assets I've shown you in the statement of financial position. And now we have to see what is sitting on the assets here. Uh, we've got our property, plant, and equipment, rights of use. You're not going to learn about that this year because you're still doing first year. When you're doing this accounting, this is beginner accounting for chartered accounting students or professional accounting students. So there's long-term receivables and other investments, that's your trade and other receivables. That is your tax receivables, and you've got your inventories. Okay, so it's all under segmented under one element, which is assets, guys. So now can you imagine if assets was, can you imagine if I had inventories sitting on equity? How is that related to a shareholder giving capital to the business? You see, so we must report things in the report line items, financial statements, line items under the right elements, so that information is segmented, like I did say. You look, there is equity and liabilities. They talks capital reserves. Equity talks about retained income. Also now, liability that looks at lease liability, trade and other payables, current portion of a lease liability, taxation. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's see. Maybe I'm making this up. Maybe you are allowed to be creative. Ne? Maybe I'm making this up. Maybe some year, Mr. Price was allowed to be creative and then put all these things the way they want, these elements the way they want. Maybe I'm just making this up, Ned. Let's check 2020. Let's check 2020. Maybe guys, 2020 Asham, they were allowed. Maybe they were allowed to be creative and put the elements of financial statements anyhow. Perfect. It's page 167. Maybe, guys, I'm making this up. Still, even in the prior, the elements of financial statements are there under revenue, specific things, under expenses, specific things. And it was only those two elements that were in the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income. Statement of financial position. There's assets, equity, and liabilities. Still, guys, it's not a green salad. If I can make it in easy terms, it's not a green salad. There's a certain order that financial statements are prepared under, and that part of that order is is knowing the elements of financial statements and presenting segmented information that supports each element. So I hope you guys will never struggle with what is elements of financial statements. Thank you. Bye.